وقضى لها كل شيء وذل لها كل شيء وبجبروتك التي غلبت بها كل شيء وبعزتك التي لا يقوم لها شيء وبعظمتك التي ملأت كل شيء وبسلطانك الذي على كل شيء وبوجهك الباقي بعد فناء كل شيء وبأسمائك التي ملأت أركان كل شيء وبعلمك الذي أحاط بكل شيء وبنور وجهك الذي يزاله كل شيء يا نور يا قدوس يا نور يا قدوس يا نور يا قدوس يا أول الأولين ويا آخر الآخرين اللهم اغفر لي الذنوب التي تحت كل اسم اللهم اغفر لي الذنوب التي تنزل النقم اللهم اغفر لي الذنوب التي تغير النعم اللهم اغفر لي الذنوب التي تحبس الدعاء اللهم اغفر لي الذنوب التي تقطع الرجاء اللهم اغفر لي الذنوب التي تنزل البلاء اللهم اغفر لي كل ذنب أذنبته وكل خطيئة أخطأتها اللهم إني أتقرب إليك بذكرك واستشفع بك إلى نفسك وأسألك بجودك أن تدنيني من قربك وأن تزيني شكرك وأن تلهمني ذكرك اللهم إني أسألك سؤال قاض متذلل خاشع متضرع أن تسامحني وترحمني وتجعلني بقسمك راضيا قانعا وفي جميع الأحوال متواضعا اللهم وأسألك سؤال من اشتدت فاقته وأنزل بك عند شدائد حاجته وعزم فيما عندك رغبته اللهم عظم سلطانك وعلى مكانك وخفي مكرك وظهر أمرك وغلب قهرك وجرت قدرتك ولا يمكن الفرار من حكومتك اللهم لا أجد لي ذنوبي غافرا ولا لقبائه ساترا ولا لشيء من عملي القبيح بالحسن مبدلا غيرك لا إله إلا أنت سبحانك وبحمدك ظلمت نفسي ظلمت نفسي ظلمت نفسي وتجرعت بجهلي وسكنت إلى قديم ذكرك لي ومنك علي اللهم مولاي كم من قبيح سترته وكم من فاضح من البلاء عقلته وكم من آثار وقيته وكم من مكروه دفعته وكم من ثناء جميل لست أهلا له نشرته اللهم عظم بلائي وغفرت بي سوء وقصرت بي أعمالي وقضت بي أغلالي وبسني النفي بعض أعمالي وخذتني الدنيا بغرورها ونفسي بخيانتها ومثالي يا سيدي فأسألك بعزتك أن لا يعجبنك دعائي سوء أملي وفعلي ولا تفزعني بخفي ما طلت عليه سري ولا تعاجلني بالعقوبة على ما عملته في خلواتي من سوء فعلي وإساءتي ودوام تفريطي وجهلتي وكثرة شهواتي وغفلتي وكن اللهم بعزتك لي في كل الأحوال رؤوفا وعلي في جميع الأمور عطوفا إلهي ومولاي وربي من لي غيرك أسأله كشف ضري والنظر في أمري إلهي ومولاي أجريت علي حكما اتبعت فيه هوى نفسي ولما ترس فيه من تزيين عدوبي فغرني بما هوى وسده على ذلك القضاء وتجاوزت بما جرى علي من ذلك بعض حدودك وخالفت بعض أوامرك فلك الحمد ولي في جميع ذلك ولا حجة لي فيما جرى علي فيه قضاؤك والزمن حكمك وبلاؤك وقد أتيتك يا إلهي بعد تقصيري وإسرافي على نفسي معتذرا نادما منكسرا مستقيلا مستغفرا منيبا مقرا مزنا معترفا لا أجد مفر من مكان مني ولا مفزع أتوجه إليه في أمري غير قبولك عذري وإدخالك إياي في ساعة رحمتك اللهم فاقبل عذري وارحم شدة ذري وفكني من شدي واستعقي يا رب ارحم ضعف بدني ورقة جلدي ودقة عزمي يا من بدا خلقي وذكري وتربيتي وبري وتغذيتي هبني لابتداء كرمك وسالف ركبي يا إلهي وسيدي وربي تراك معذبي بنارك بعد توحيدك وبعد ما أنت عليه قلبي من معرفتك ولهج به لساني من ذكرك وتقده ضميري من حبك وبعد صدق اعترافي ودعائي خاضعا لربوبيتك هيهات أنت أكرم من أن تزي ومن توي من أن تزي من ربيت وتبد من أثنيت وتشرد من أعويت أو تسلم إلى البلاء من كفيت ورحمت وليت شيري يا سيدي وإلهي ومولاي تسلط النار على وجه خرت لعظمتك ساجدا وعلى رأس نتقد بتوحيدك صادقا وبشكرك مادها وعلى قلوب ترهفت بلاهيتك ومحققة وعلى زمائر رهوت من العلم بك حتى صارت خاشية وعلى جوار ساعت إلى أوطان تعبدك تعذر وشارت باستغفارك مزهنة الماها كذا الظن بك ولا أخبرنا بفضلك عنك يا كريم يا رب وأنت تعلم ضعفي قليل من بلاء الدنيا وعقوباتها وما يجري فيها من المكاره على أهلها على أن ذلك بلاء مكروه قليل مقصوه يسير بقاؤه كثير مدته فكيف احتمالي لبلاء الآخرة وجليل الوقوع المكاره فيها وهو بلاء تطول مدته ويدوم مقامه ولا يخفف عليه لأنه لا يكون إلا عن غضبك وانتقامك وسخطك وهذا ما لا تقوم له السماوات والأرض يا سيدي فكيف لي وأنا عبدك الضعيف الذليل الحقير المسكين المستكين يا إلهي وربي وسيدي ومولاي لي الأمور إليك أشكو لما من هذه الجواب كلي أليم العذاب وشدتي أمل طول البلاء ومدتي فلئن سيرتني في العقوبات مع أدائك وجمعت بيني وبين أهل البلاء وفرقت بيني وبين أحبائك وأوليائك فهبني يا إلهي وسيدي ومولاي وربي صبرت على عذابك فكيف أصبر على فراقك وهبني صبرت على حر النار فكيف أصبر عن النظر إلى كرامتك أم كيف أسكن في النار ورجائي فوق وبعزتك يا سيدي ومولاي أقسم صادقا لئن تركتني ناطقا لأزجن إليك بين أهلها زجيج العاملين ولا أصرخن إليك صراخ المستصرخين ولا أبكين إليك بكاء الفاقدين ولا أنادينك أين كنت يا ولي المؤمنين ويا غاية أعمال العارفين يا غياث المستغيثين يا غياث المستغيثين يا غياث المستغيثين يا حبيب قلوب الصادقين ويا إله العالمين أفدراك سبحانك يا إلهي وبحمدك تسمع فيها صوت عبدا مسلما سجن فيها بمخالفتي وذاق طعم عذابها بمعصيتي وحبس بين أطباقها بجرمه وجريرتي وهو يسج إليك زجيج مؤملا لرحمتك ويناديك بلسان أهل توحيدك وتوسل إليك بربوبيتك يا مولاي فكيف يبقى في العذاب وهو يرجو ما سلف من حلمك ورأفتك ورحمتك أم كيف تظلمه النار وهو يعمل فضلك ورحمتك أم كيف يورقه لهيبها وأنت تسمع صوته وترى مكانه أم كيف يشتمل عليه زفيرها وأنت تعلم ضعفهم كيف يتقلقل بين أطباقها وأنت تعلم صدقهم كيف تزجره زبانيتها وهو يناديك يا ربهم كيف يرجو فضلك في تقي منها فتتركه فيها هيهات ما ذلك الظن بك ولا المعروف من فضلك ولا مشبه لما عملت به المواحدين من برك وإحسانك فباليقين أخطأ لولا ما حكمت به من تعذيب جاهديك وقضيت به من أخلاط معانديك لجلت النار كلها بردا وسلاما وما كان لأحد فيها مقرا ولا مقاما لكنك تقدست أسماؤك أقسمت أن تملها من الكافرين من الجنة والناس أجمعين وأن تخلد فيها المعاندين وأن تجلى ثناؤك قلت مبتدا وتطولت بالإنام متكرمة أفمن كان مؤمنا كمن كان فاسقا لا يستوون إلهي وسيدي فاسألك بالقدرة التي قدرتها وبالقضية التي هتمتها وأكمتها وغلبت من عليه أجريتها أن تهب لي في هذه الليلة وفي هذه الساعة كل جرم أجرمته وكل ذنب أذنبته كل جرم أجرمته وكل ذنب أذنبته كل جرم أجرمته وكل ذنب أذنبته وكل قبيل أسررته وكل جال عملته كتمته وأعلنته أخفيته وأزهرته وكل سيئة أمرت بإثباتها الكرام الكاتبين الذين وكلتهم بحفظ ما يكون مني وجعلتهم شهودا علي ما جواري وكنت أنت رقيب علي من ورائهم ولا شاهد لمن خفي عنهم وبرحمتك وأخفيته وبفضلك سترته وأنت وفر عزي من كل خير أنزلته وإحسان فضلته وبر نشرته ورزق بسطته وذنب تغفره وخطأ تستره يا ربي يا ربي يا رب يا ربي يا ربي يا رب يا ربي يا ربي يا رب يا إلهي وسيدي ومولاي ومالك رقي من بيدي ناصيتي عليما بزري ومسكنتي يا خبيرا بفقري وفاقتي يا ربي يا ربي يا رب يا ربي يا ربي يا رب يا ربي يا ربي يا رب أسألك بحقك وقدسك وعظيم صفاتك وأسمائك أن تجعل أوقاتي في الليل والنهار بذكرك مأمورة وبخدمتك موصولة وأعمالي عندك مقبولة حتى تكون أعمالي وأورادي كلها وردا واحدا وحالي في خدمتك سرمدا يا سيدي يا من إليه معولي يا من إليه شكوت أحوالي يا ربي يا ربي يا رب يا ربي يا ربي يا رب يا ربي يا ربي يا رب قوي على خدمتك جوارحي واشدد على العزيمة جوانحي وهب لي الجد في خشيتك والدوام في الاتصال بخدمتك حتى أسرع إليك في ميادين السابقين وأسرع إليك في المبادرين واشتاق إلى قربك في المشتاقين وأدنو منك دنو المخلصين وخافك مخافة الموقنين واجتمع في جوارك مع المؤمنين اللهم ومن رادني بسوء فرد ومن كادني فقد وجلني من أحسن عبيدك نصيبا عندك وأقربهم منزلة منك وخصهم زلفة لديك فإنه لا ينال ذلك إلا بفضلك وجد لي بجودك وطف علي بمجدك وافزني برحمتك واجل لساني بذكرك لهج وقلبي بحبك متيما ممن علي بحسن إجابتك وأقلني أسرتي واغفر لي زلتي فإنك قضيت على عبادك بعبادتك وأمرتهم بدعائك وزمنت لهم الإجابة فإليك يا ربي نسبت وجهي وإليك يا ربي مددت يدي فبعزتك استجب لي دعائي وبلغني منايا ولا تخطأ من فضلك رجائي واغفرني شر الجن والإنس من أعدائي يا سريع الرضا या सरी अर्ज़ा या सरी अर्ज़ा इग़फ़िर लिमन ला यमलिकु इल्ला दुआ फ़इन्नका फ़अलु लिमा तशा या मन इस्महु दवा व ज़िक्रुहु शिफ़ा या मन इस्महु दवा व ज़िक्रुहु शिफ़ा या मन इस्महु दवा व ज़िक्रुहु शिफ़ा व तातो गिनाम इरहम मन रासु मालिहिर रिजा व सलाहुल बुका या साबिग़ल निआम या दाफ़िअल निक़म या नूरल मुस्तौशीन फ़िज़्ज़ुलम या आलिमन ला युअल्लम सल्लि अला मुहम्मदिन व आलि मुहम्मद वाफ़ल बीमान ताहलहु व सल्लल्लाहु अला रसूलिही व अइम्मतिल अमीन मिन आलिहि व सल्लम तस्लीमन कसीरन कसीरा अल्लाहुम्मा सल्लि अला मुहम्मद व आलि मुहम्मद।
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله الذي لا يبلغ مدحته القائلون ولا يوصي نعماه العادون ولا يودي حقه المجتهدون الذي لا يدركه بحد الهمم ولا يناله غوث الفتن الذي ليس لصفته حد محدود ولا نعت موجود ولا وقت محدود ولا أجل ممدود فطر الخلائق بقدرته ونشر الرياح برحمته ووتد بالسخر ميدان عرض ثم الصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين وحبيبنا وحبيب رب العالمين بالقاسم محمد وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين واللعن على أدائهم أجمعين من أول يوم ظلمهم إلى قيام يوم الدين أما بعد فقال الله سبحانه وتعالى في كتابه المبين وقوله الحق بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ولقد كتبنا في الزبور من بعد الذكر أن الأرض يرثها عبادي الصالحون صدق الله العلي العظيم. Dear brothers and sisters, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Monday, the 15th of Sha'ban, we spoke about Imam Zaman alayhi salam, and we had just spoken about the major signs that we should all be expecting, because in reality, those are the signs that really matter. Those major signs. All the other signs that you have in the books, all the others, the minor signs, they could happen or they could not happen. Even the ulama, they say that these are considered to be minor signs, and these could happen. These, it's not necessary that they happen. This is all in the hands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But when it comes to the major signs, not only the ulama, but the imams themselves, they say that those 5 major signs that we spoke about on Monday, they say that those major signs, they definitely will happen. And we had already gone over those major signs, and I'm not going to go over those major signs today, but because one night or one day isn't enough to speak about Imam Zaman, because when it comes to Imam Zaman alayhi salam, leaving aside his nuzul, leaving aside his birth, leaving aside what happened in the 5 years that he was before he went into Ghaibat Sugra, leaving all that aside, the most important thing for us today is what is our responsibility towards the Imam of our time. The most important thing for us today is what do we need to do for the Imam of the time. The most important for us today is how do we be patient. Because when you read the narrations about Imam Zaman alayhi salam, we've been told so many times from when we were kids that the Imam's khas companions, or his specific or special companions, are going to be how many in total? 313. He's going to have 313 khas companions. Can we be of those companions or no? That's the question. Yes, leave aside being part of the Imam's general army, but can we be part of those 313? Leaving aside the names that have come, for example, Amir al-Mu'minin is given names of the companions. Some of those names are very common. Some of those names you hear very rarely. Every one of us that have like a common name, if we were to see that name, what would be the difference in the way we act if we start thinking that name is my name? If we were to say, you know what, this isn't my name, this is some other, for example, Tayyab. If my name is there, if the name Tayyab is there, if I was to say this Tayyab is me, if I was to say this Tayyab name that I see, this is me, how would I look at myself and what is it that I would do? But if I was to say, no, this Tayyab is someone else, it's not me, how would I react and what are the things that I would do? Think about that. Some of those names are very common. If we were all just to focus on those names and say, you know what, this is me, the actions that we would do, they'll definitely be for Imam Zaman. Why? Because we're thinking that we're part of those 313. And when it comes to those 313 special companions, the Holy Prophet, what does he say? He says that those 313 that are going to do bayat on Qaima al-Muhammad, they are my brothers. The Holy Prophet, he says that they are my brothers. The companions during the time of the Holy Prophet, they look at the Holy Prophet, they say, Ya Rasulullah, are we not your brothers? And he says, no, you're not my brothers. You're my companions. My brothers are those 313 that are going to ride with Qaima al-Muhammad. Why? One of the reasons, they've never even seen me, but they believe in me better than you all. They've never seen me, but they believe in me better than you all believe in me. Even though you're looking at me, you're standing with me, you're sitting with me, you're eating with me, they believe in me better than you all. And you see today, like I said on Monday, the Imams themselves, they say the same thing. The Holy Prophet says the same thing. That the Shi'as that are living in the time of Ghaibat al-Kubra, they're better than the Shi'as that have lived before. Why? Because they believe in all the Imams, even the Imam of their own time, without even seeing him. Without him. And these 313, the Holy Prophet says that they're my brothers. If you were to think that you were part of those 313, because everyone asks, how can we be, people ask, how can we be part of those 313? If not even the 313, the first 10,000 people to be under the command of Imam Zaman. If you're not part of the 313, at the very least, if you're part of the first 10,000, can you not gloat over others saying, I was part of that first 10,000? I wasn't part of the 313, that's fine, but I was part of the 10,000, first 10,000 that did bayat to the Imam. You can also gloat. But those 313, we're looking at them, why? Because they have a special status not only in the eyes of the Imams, but they have a special status in the eyes of the Holy Prophet himself. The Holy Prophet himself. Because of all of them, who did the Holy Prophet consider to be his brother? Think about that. Amir al-Mu'minin alayhi salam. In the time of the Holy Prophet, he considered Amir al-Mu'minin to be his brother. Yet he himself says that what? The 313 that do bayat in the hands of Imam Zaman alayhi salam, Imam Mahdi, they're considered to be my brothers. They're considered to be my brothers. Which one of us wouldn't want that title for ourselves? To be considered a brother of the Holy Prophet. And when you read about those 313, they ask, because even the 313, not all of their iman is at the same level. Not all of their iman is at the same level. They're at different levels of iman. So they asked the imams, which one of them are at the highest level of iman? And you know what the imam replies? Imam Jafar Sadiq alayhi salam, Imam Muhammad Baqir alayhi salam, Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. They both reply, the ones that are able to walk on air, their iman is at the highest level. The ones that are able to walk on air. There's only one prophet right now who's able to do that. And he's a prophet. Who is that? Hazrat Isa alayhi salam. He's been taken to the heavens. He walks on water, he can walk in air. But the Imams, they say that these 313, of them there are some that can also walk on air. And he says that these are the ones that are the highest when it comes to iman. Now, how do they get to that level? How do they get to that level? When they ask the Imams, what is it about them that makes them the way they are? What do the Imams say? They say all those 313, their heart when it comes to the religion, their heart is like hadid. Their heart is like metal. Meaning what? Meaning when the religion has said something is haram, it's haram. When the religion has said something is halal, it's halal. When the Imams have said not to do something, they don't do it. When the Imams had said these people are enemies, these people are our enemies, they consider them to be their enemies. This was the major criteria. The Imam says what? Our enemies, they consider to be their enemies. Our enemies, they consider to be their enemies. And you see Shias today, they're befriending the enemies of Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam. Making friends. I'm not saying just speaking, no, befriending them, being friends with them, befriending them. Imam, he goes, these 313, they can do this, they can walk on air. These 313, they can do til, they can be in one place, in the blink of an eye, they can be at another place. These 313, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He'll bring these 313 in the blinking of an eye, in the twinkling of an eye. Some of them, where will they be? They'll be at home. Some of them will be sleeping. Some of them will be bowing. Some of them will be in ruku. Some of them will be in sajda. Some of them, it'll be daytime for them. But all of them will come where? To Maqam Hazrat Ibrahim alayhi salam by the Kaaba, and they will all do bayat to Imam Zaman. Some of them, they'll be in the time of Hajj, in the time of Zuhur, they will be where? In Makkah. And they'll all come together. How? In the twinkling of an eye. These are the companions of Imam Zaman, the 313. But can you and I not be one of them? No, we can. We can. Because if the 313 exists right now, then Imam Zaman would not be in ghaibat. He wouldn't be in ghaibat. If those 313 exist right now, then he wouldn't be in ghaibat. Why? Why do I say this? Because the Holy Prophet had told Amir al-Mu'min, Ya Ali, if you have 40 people with you, then rise up. Imam Jafar Sadiq alayhi salam, he says the same thing. If there were 40 people with us who are willing to sacrifice their life when we tell them to, it would be wajib for us to rise up. It'd be wajib. What does this mean? This means that there isn't even 40 people of those 313 yet. There isn't even 40. So it becomes necessary what? That we become. We've all talked about Salman. We've talked about Miqdad. We've talked about Abu Zar Ghafari. We've talked about all of those companions of Amir al-Mu'mineen. But now, after the rise of Imam Zaman in Islam, who will the future generations be speaking about? They'll be speaking about those 313 companions of Imam Zaman alayhi salam the same way that we speak about the companions of Amir al-Mu'mineen. The same way that we speak about the companions of Amir al-Mu'mineen today, the future generations after those companions of Imam Zaman passed away, the future generations would be speaking about the companions of Imam Zaman. Who isn't here right now that believes that, you know what, I can't be from one of them? No, you have to try. You have to try. And where do you start? That's the question. Where do you start? Many of us, we feel, you know what, I've committed so many sins. I can't be one of them. I've committed this many sins. I can't be one of them. I can't be one of them. I've committed. But when people say that, I ask them, have you stopped the Imam of your time to go wherever he wants? From going wherever he wants? Have you stopped the Imam of your time from drinking water? Have you? No. When Hazrat Hur alayhi salam, who stopped the Imam of his time from getting water, who stopped the Imam of his time from going wherever he wanted, when he could be of those 72 that we speak about today, why can't I be of those 313? Just because I've committed a few sins, I can't be of those 313? The sins that I have committed, they're not as great as that. What can be a greater sin than stopping the Imam of the time? Just the same way Imam Hussein could forgive Hur alayhi salam for doing what he did and bringing him to his camp, the same way the Imam of my time can forgive the sins that I've committed and bring me to his camp. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin. This idea that I've committed so many sins, I can't do anything. No. This idea needs to get out of the minds of the people. What needs to happen is, I've committed sins, now I want to right that wrong that I've done. How do I right that wrong? And I've talked extensively about what needs to happen depending on what type of sin that you've committed. If it's you've left prayers, what do you need to do? Make up your prayers and not make any more prayers, qaza. That's it. You haven't fasted, you make up your fast and you make sure that you continue to fast in the month of Ramadan. That's it. What is the sin that I've committed? Amir al-Mu'mineen says, what? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala himself, he says what? That he will forgive every sin that you commit, except for shirk. Except for shirk. He'll forgive every sin that you've committed, except for shirk. Are we committing shirk that we believe that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will not forgive our sins? Are we committing shirk that we believe that the Imam of our time will not forgive our sins? No, we're not committing shirk. Yes, all of us are committing sins, but those sins are forgivable. 114 times, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. 114 times. 10 times a day, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, when we pray. What does that Rahman, what does that Rahim mean? If we truly don't believe Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to be Rahman and Rahim, and we say it 10 times a day, what does that make us? That makes us a munafiq. That makes us a hypocrite. That we're saying Rahman, Rahim, yet we say that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will not forgive our sins. That makes us a hypocrite. And if we want to be of those 313, there is no hypocrite among those 313. Those 313, were they masoom? No. What was Salman Farsi? What was Abu Zar Ghafari? What was Miqdad? What were all of those companions of Amir al-Mu'minin? Were they masoom or were they non-masoom? They were non-masoom. Non-masoom. But what did they do that they became who they became? They attached themselves to the Imam of the time. They attached themselves to the Imam of the time. When they would do something, they would do it Amir al-Mu'mineen. What did Amir al-Mu'mineen say? Amir al-Mu'mineen, he says, I never did anything. I never committed one act without remembering that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is in front of me, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is behind me, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is to the left of me, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is to the right of me. If you and I have that same mentality, I've never committed one act without remembering that Imam Zaman's in front of me, Imam Zaman's behind me, Imam Zaman's to the left of me, Imam Zaman's to the right of me. If we have that mentality, then how many of us would sin the way we're sinning today? That same mentality. We sin, why? Because we forget that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is watching. One of the most basic reasons that anyone commits any type of crime, forget sin, just a crime. We commit a crime when we believe that there's no one watching. We speed on the highway. Why? Because we believe that there's no one watching. No one watching. It's a crime, but we do it. Why? Because we believe that as soon as we realize that there is someone watching, what do? We follow the rules. And this is the case when it comes to sins. We commit sins. Why? Because we believe in that moment that there's no one watching. Or we forget that there is someone watching. We forget that. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He knows that you forget. He knows that I forget. He knows that we forget. That's why He's left His door of mercy open continuously. That's the reason He doesn't punish as soon as we commit a sin. Whereas here in the world, as soon as you commit a crime, you get caught, you get punished. As soon as you get caught for speeding, you get punished. You get your ticket and then it's done. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not like that. The Imam of our time is not like, alaykum salam wa rahmatullah. The Imam of our time is not like that. Like I said on Monday, when the Imam appears, he leaves his first representative. What do the Meccans do? They kill him. They kill him. When they kill him, the Imam, he was going towards Medina. He comes back because he finds out that his representative has been killed. Now that the representative has been killed, the Imam, he could have killed anyone or everyone that had any participation with killing his representative, but he doesn't. He tells them that if you do it again, or he tells them don't do it again. When they do it a third time, that's when the Imam, he takes out his sword and then he starts. When they do it a third time. And when the Imam comes, like I said, many people believe that's it. When the Imam comes, we're all going to be holding hands and everything is going to be perfectly fine. No, that's not how it is. When the Imam comes, that's when we as Shias will be tested. Against the Sufyani, against Dajjal, against some of the powers that exist today. Where will our loyalty lie then? Because when the Imam comes, the first thing that he's going to do, when he goes to Kufa, do you think he's only going to be fighting against Sufyani's army in Kufa? No. No. Who is it do you think is going to reject the Imam first? Shias are going to reject. Muslims, Shias, they're going to reject. Why? Some of them, they're going to see the miracles that the Imam performs, and what are they going to say? He's a Dajjal. Because before the appearance of the Imam, Dajjals, some narrations, they say 60 Dajjals will come before the appearance of Imam. And there have been so many that have claimed to be either Imam or Prophet. And what will the ulama say? Oh, he's one of those Dajjals that Amir al-Mu'mineen talked about, even though he's the Imam. What will the Muslims say? He's one of those Dajjals, he's a magician. The Imam, when he comes, he's going to start cleaning house from within. From within. And then when it goes further, that's when Hazrat Isa alayhi salam will come down. And the sad part is, when the non-Muslims see the miracles of the Imam, and they see the knowledge that the Imam has, they will become Shias and they will believe in the Imam better than the current Shias. When they see the miracles that the Imam performs. The Christians, when they see Hazrat Isa alayhi salam praying behind Imam Zaman, when they hear Hazrat Isa alayhi salam saying that this person is my Imam, follow him, do what he tells you to do, those Christians will be better Shias than you and I can imagine. You and I can imagine. I'm sure we're all aware, there's some Christians that exist today that are more religious, meaning real Christians that are more religious than there are Muslims that are religious. Meaning that they follow what Christianity tells them to follow. For example, There's some Christians, the same way that we have our Matamis that do Zanjir, there's some Christians, what do? You find these Christians, some in Spain, some in Philippines, some in South America. What do? Not only do they do Zanjir, but there's some Christians, they put themselves on the cross the same way they believe that Hazrat Isa alayhi salam was put on the cross. Meaning what? Meaning they get their hands and feet nailed to the cross the same way that they believed Hazrat Isa alayhi salam was nailed to the cross. Yes, Isayat has Matamis too. It's not just that we Shias, we have Matamis. No, Isayat also has Matamis. And those are the Christians who follow the religion the same way that we Shias follow our religion. They believe that Hazrat Isa alayhi salam was Mazloom, so what do? The same way we believe that Imam Hussein was Mazloom, because of that Mazloomiyat, what do? We cry for him. What do? We are in pain for him. We want to put ourselves through some of that pain that he went through. Those Christians do the same thing. Those Christians do the same thing. But these are the Christians that will believe in the Imam better than some Muslims, better than some Shias that exist today. Salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. When it comes to Imam Zaman alayhi salam, when it comes to his companions, of those 313, we had said that all of their iman is at different levels. But the common theme between all of them, the commonality between all of them, is that the Holy Prophet said this, the 5th Imam has said this, the 6th Imam has said this, is what? That they believe that the Imam of the time has complete authority over them. All of them. Their iman might be at different levels, but they all have this one thing in common, is that they believe that the Imam of the time has complete authority over them in their life. Meaning if the Imam says go to war, they go to war. If the Imam says, like Imam Jafar Sadiq alayhi salam did with one of his companions, when the Imam says, Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad, when the Imam says jump into this burning tandoor, they jump into the burning tandoor. Without why, but, any of that, no. When you finally have marifat of the Imam, there is no why, there is no but. There's only what? Order and obeying that order. That's it. If you look at the Imams, if you look at the Holy Prophet, was there ever a why or a but? When the Holy Prophet told Amir al-Mu'mineen to do something, did Amir al-Mu'mineen ever say, Ya Rasulullah, why? Ya Rasulullah, but? Ya Rasulullah, I think? Did Amir al-Mu'mineen ever say that? No, never. Never. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would send wahi to the Holy Prophet, did the Holy Prophet go, Ya Allah, but? Ya Allah, why? Ya Allah, I think? No. But now when it comes to us Shi'as, how should we follow the Imam of the time when he appears? There shouldn't be, Ya Imam, but. There shouldn't be, Ya Imam, I think. This I think, this is the most important thing that we need to get out of our minds. Mullah, I think it should be like this. Who are you? Who are you to say, I think it should be like? You are the one who's telling the Imam of the time what you think it should be like? Mullah, why did you appear? This is going to be some of the Shias. Mullah, why did you appear? We had everything under control. Why did you appear? We had everything under control. I asked those Shias, what do we have under control right now? What's under control? Absolutely nothing. When the Imam comes, why did you come? We had everything under control. These 313, like I said, alaykum salam wa rahmatullah, their hearts, the Imams, they say their hearts are like steel. When they've been given a command, that's it. Their strength, some of the narrations, they say that each one of their strength is 40 people. Some of the narrations, they say that each one of their strength is 100 people. Their knowledge, when Imam, he takes bayat from them. After the Imam takes bayat from them, what is he going to do? Each and every single one of their head, he's going to put his hand on their head and he's going to tell them that from today on, when it comes to giving out verdicts, you won't make any mistakes. You won't make any mistakes. Each and every single one of their heads. These are the 313. And those 313, like a lot of the ulama have said, a lot of the ulama have written, those 313, they're just his what? His commanders. His commanders. Even if we were to get close to those commanders, that'd be enough for us. That'd be enough for us. Because what do I mean? How many commanders did Abu Abdullah al-Hussein alayhi salam have in Karbala? Do you all know? There were two. One was Abul Fazl Abbas alayhi salam, who was the commander for Banu Hashim. The other was Habib ibn Muzahir, who was the commander for the Ansar. He had two commanders. That was it. And the night of Ashur, when they were making a plan of how to attack, Abul Fazl Abbas said, I will command the right side, Habib, you will command the left side, and we will meet in the middle. There's two commanders, that was it. But look at everyone that was even related or close to the commanders, we still remember them. We still remember them. From the Ansar, we still remember the Ansar. Yes, we speak about Habib ibn Muzahir. Why? Because Habib was one of the commanders. He was a commander. We speak about Abu Fazl Abbas alayhi salam. Yes, why? Not only was he a commander, he was the brother of Abu Abdullah al-Hussein alayhi salam. He was the one who sacrificed so much. He was the one who we should try to emulate when it comes to how we obey the Imam of the time. He's the one who we should try to emulate. What it means to obey the Imam of the time. What do I mean? When they were leaving from Medina, when the governor of Medina called Imam Hussein alayhi salam, Imam, he had already told everyone that I think Yazid wants my bayat, and that's why the governor has called me. And Lady Zainab, she said, brother, please take Banu Hashim with you. Take the Banu Hashim with you as reinforcements, because I don't like where this is going. Imam Hussein alayhi salam, he said, no, I don't need Banu Hashim. But if you want, I'll take Mullah Abbas with me. Mullah Abbas goes with Imam Hussein alayhi salam, and Mullah Abbas, he asked Abu Abdullah Hussein, oh brother, how will I know when to come in? Because Imam Hussein told him to wait by the door. And he goes, how will I know when to come in? Imam, he says, Abbas, when you hear my voice get loud, then I want you to come in. I want you to come in. He says, okay. As soon as Imam Hussein's voice starts getting loud, Mullah Abbas, he barges through the door, and the first thing he does is he takes out his sword and he says, Mullah, whose head do you want me to chop off first? Whose head do you want me to chop off first? Imam, he says, Abbas, put your sword away. Put your sword away. Why? Because we're not here to fight. This is what it means to be loyal. Whatever emotions that you have, you suppress them until the Imam gives you command. Whatever emotions that you have, you suppress them until the Imam. If the Imam tells you to put your sword away, you put your sword away. If the Imam tells you to take your sword out, then you take out your sword. If the Imam, he tells you, Abbas, you can go to Furad, but you will leave your sword with me, then you give Mullah your sword and you go with what he wants you to go with. Just think of, that's what it means to be loyal to the Imam. What does it mean being loyal to the Imam? From the day that you're born to the day that you die, you consider him to be your Mawla. You consider him to be your master. That's what it means to be loyal. You already say, if you haven't done it yet, you say, I've already sacrificed my life for my Mawla. That's what it means to be loyal. And when you sacrifice your life for the Imam, then you start thinking, should I be doing this or should I not? Should I eat this or should I not? Should I go to this place or should I not? Should I make my prayer late or should I not? Should I watch this or should I not? When you've already decided that my life belongs to the Imam of the time and I've already sacrificed my life, then you start thinking to yourself, should I be doing this or should I not? But most of us, we're saying, Labbaik ya Imam, we want the Imam to come, but we haven't sacrificed our life for the Imam yet. We're saying when the Imam comes, we'll sacrifice our life. No. When the Imam comes, you don't know if you will sacrifice your life or not. Mullah Abbas, he was just waiting for the time, that was it. He knew that it was going to happen. He was going to sacrifice his life. Because when you read the khutbah, he says himself that I've already sacrificed my life. Not I will sacrifice my life. No, I've already sacrificed my life for my master. That means now that we're alive, before that time comes, we should already have it in our minds that what we've already sacrificed our life for the Imam. Why? Because when he comes, when he appears, then we prove or we show that yes, what we had said before, now we're showing the world that what I said before is absolutely true. That's what Mullah Abbas did. He was only waiting for the time to reach Karbala. That was it. That was it. Or else he had already sacrificed himself. This is the same mentality that you and I should have. We should only be waiting for the appearance of the Imam. Why? So we can sacrifice our life for him. That's it. That's it. We shouldn't be thinking to ourselves, what? When the Imam comes, then I will sacrifice my life. No. But many of us, we're busy. And like I said on Monday, the alamat of zuhur, especially those 5 alamat, they're going to happen so quickly that people won't even believe when the Imam appears. Imam Jafar Sadiq, he says that it'll happen so quickly, people won't even believe that that's the Imam. Why? Because they'll still be wondering, where's this alamat? Where's this alamat? Where's this alamat? But all of them, those 5 will definitely happen. Those 5 will happen. And yet they're still wondering. So what does that tell you? It tells you that either people are going to be too busy wondering whether this alamat happened or not. They're going to be debating whether or not this is one of the signs or not. They're going to be debating about whether or not this is the sign or not. Like the way some people do today. When the coronavirus was spreading, people were debating, is this the sign of the Imam's appearance or not? Who cares? You should believe that this is the sign. Why? Because some of the signs that they say, before the appearance of Imam Zaman al-Islam, disease will spread. When the earthquake happened, is this the sign? What do I get out of that? If my objective in life is to sacrifice myself for the Imam of the time, if that's my objective, to sacrifice my life for the Imam of the time when he comes, then shouldn't I be saying to myself whenever I see one of the alamat of zuhur that this is the sign? That's what it means to be patiently waiting. Every time a sign comes, you say, this is the sign. And if he doesn't appear afterwards, then he doesn't appear afterwards. When the Imam comes, Dua Nudba, anyone that reads it after Fajr on Fridays, what did the narration say? Anyone that reads Dua Nudba on Fridays after Fajr, they will definitely be part of the army of Imam Zaman, even if they're dead. Even if they're dead. When the Imam comes, he's going to say to the graves, do you all want to come back and help me, or do you want to stay where you're at? Alaykum salam wa rahmatullah. Do you all want to come back and help me, or do you want to stay where you're at? What would you all do? Where they're at, they have Amir al-Mu'mineen. Where they're at, they have the Holy Prophet. Where they're at, they have Hazrat Zahra, they have Imam Hassan, they have Imam Hussein, they have all of that. Where they're at. Over here is Imam Zaman. There will be people that would want to come back and help the Imam. That want to come back and help the Imam. 1, 2. Not many people talk about how Imam Zaman alayhi salam, after his government, what's supposed to happen in his government, what's supposed to happen after his government. But when it comes to what's supposed to happen in his government, and we spend a lot of time about what's supposed to happen before. But after his government has been established, what is supposed to happen? We still have Dajjal to deal with. We still have Dajjal to deal with. After Dajjal, we still have what? The shahadat of the Imam. How will the Imam be shaheed? Many of the narrations, they say that the Imam Zaman, he'd be poisoned. He'd be poisoned. And what's supposed to happen after that? After that, that's when Rujat starts. Some narrations, they say that after Imam Zaman, Abu Abdullah al-Hussein, he's supposed to come back. He's the one who's going to bury the Imam. Then we have other narrations that state that after Imam Zaman, then everything is going to go in reverse. Meaning what? Imam Hassan Askari is going to come. Then after that, his father. Then after that, his father, all the way to Rasulullah. And this process is going to happen a few times. This is what? The time of Imam Zaman. How many prophets? I'm going to end right here because I have some questions I want to ask all of you about how much you all nini. Okay. How many prophets are going to help Imam when he appears? Prophets, not people, prophets. Who? Kaun se? Three. We have 3. Any more? Hazrat Isa, yes. Hazrat Isa is definitely going to help. But Hazrat Khizr alayhi salam, he's going to help. Hazrat Idris alayhi salam, he's also going to help. Who else? Is there another one, or is that it? How many prophets are still alive? Hazrat Isa, yes. We just named 3, so why are you guys still thinking? Hazrat Khizr is still alive. Hazrat Isa alayhi salam is still alive. Hazrat Idris, he's still alive. That's it. Why you guys are looking at me as if there's no. What Riyaz Bhai said, in the Quran, there's a verse in the Quran where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He's taken an oath from all of the prophets, and He tells them that you will help the final prophet that's to come. You will promise me that you will help the final prophet that is to come. None of those prophets helped the Holy Prophet. None of them. Why? Because they lived in different time periods. So none of them. Some of the ulama, they say that ruj'at will happen for the prophets too. When the Holy Prophet is controlling or when he's ruling, then the prophets will come and they will help the prophet. There's some ulama that interpret this verse in this sense, that all of them will come back, but that is for the Holy Prophet. That is for the Holy Prophet, when the Holy Prophet comes back after Rujat. My question was about Imam Zaman al-Islam. And that's right. They will help Imam Zaman al-Islam. Of those 313, you have who? Ashab Ka'b, that are part of the 313 of Imam Zaman's 313. Of those 313, you have Jabir Jofi. Of those 313, Salman Farsi. Of those 313, you have some of the most devout companions of some of the Imams. They will come back. Of those 313, there are some narrations that state that about 50 of them will be women. 50 of them will be women. So it's not as if all 313 are just men. So then they asked the ulama, what is it that the women are going to do? What is it that the women are going to do? Because it's not necessary for them to go to jihad. He goes, no. They say, no, it's not necessary for them to go to jihad. But what were the women doing in Badr? Helping the wounded. That's what they're going to do. Help the wounded. One, so we got this out of the way. Second question about Imam Zaman. I don't want to ask about, Imam Zaman's mother. Alhamdulillah, everyone over here is over 5. So I don't want to ask about Imam Zaman's mother. I don't want to ask about Imam Zaman's father. Okay, I don't want to ask those questions. You guys have been in my father's lecture. You guys know the type of lecture that Dad does. But because I said in the beginning of this lecture that the most important thing is what? Most of you weren't here in the beginning of the lecture. The most important thing is what? We understand or we know the duties, what our duties are, what the alamat are. That's why I spoke about the alamat on Monday, because that's one of the duties, that we need to know what the alamat of zuhur are, and the most important ones. That's it. The others, they really don't matter. Of those 5 alamat, and then I know I've been up here for an hour now, but of those alamat, which one is the closest to zuhur of Qaim al-Muhammad? The closest? No, closer than that. Nafs Zakiya. MashaAllah, Salman Bhai wasn't even here, but he knows it. No, Nafs Zakiya, the killing of Nafs Zakiya is the closest to alamat of zuhur, or is the closest to zuhur of Qaim al-Muhammad. It is one of the alamat. It's the closest alamat for the zuhur of Qaim al-Muhammad. The killing of Nafs Zakiya. And when is it supposed to happen? Hajj, in Hajj, Zil Hijjah. It's supposed to happen in Zil Hijjah. It's supposed to happen in Zil Hijjah. Okay? And like I said, this is one of the certain signs of alamat zuhur. This is one of those signs that, hey, even this alamat, when it happened, what are people going to say? Oh, was he that person that... And I already said, Nafs Zakiya is not the name of the individual. Nafs al-Zakiyah is a characteristic of the individual. What does Nafs al-Zakiyah mean? A pure soul, that's it. Nafs al-Zakiyah means a pure soul. A purified soul. This individual's name isn't Nafs al-Zakiyah. It's a purified soul. When that purified soul gets killed, when they're doing tawaf of Kaaba, what are people going to say? The same thing that they say whenever an alamat happens. Oh, what's this him? How can we be sure? These are the type of things that I said. It's because people will engage in this type of talk. When the imam appears, they won't even realize that that's the imam. They won't even realize. Walhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. I'll end my lecture, but if you all have some questions for me, I'm more than happy to answer questions for 5-10 minutes, because I know some of the brothers came late and they're just dying for more knowledge. So if you guys have some questions for me, the floor is open. If there's no questions, then...
One question I have is like, how many ways are we going to be tested? And the Imam will say, one thing is like, you join him like his army, like to become like a warrior.
Yes.
And what are the ways? Like,
Even when you join, the Imam, when he takes the 10,000, when he goes with the 10,000, he's going to tell everyone, you don't need to take any food, you don't need to take any drinks with you. Don't take any food, don't take any drink, it will be provided. And there are some people, they're going to take food, they're going to take drink. This same scenario happened with one of the previous prophets, where when they took the army, they told them, as Dawood alayhi salam, he told his army, don't take any food, don't take any drink. When we get to a water, he said, when we get to the stream, I don't want you to drink from it. This was how he was testing. He says, I don't want you to drink from that stream. Some people, they adhere to Hazrat Dawood's order and they didn't drink from the stream. Some people, they drank from the stream. Some people, they took the water and then they tossed it away. But Hazrat Dawood had ordered them not to drink. The same thing will happen with Imam Zaman. When he appears, he's going to order the people that are following him, I don't want you to do this. Some people, they'll do it. Some people won't do it. That's a test.
That's like a loyalty test. So what else? Like, see, that's during when he appears, he can see him and we join his army, or we meet him. So what else, like, based on these days, like how is he going to select, like, who's gonna come and join me? Or if this is the only test there, like loyalty, like you do this and you don't do that, and then you join the army.
No, after the bayat to the imam, okay?
So everybody has to go through that, like the bad part, like you have to.
Oh, everyone that's there, for example, the 313, they will do bayat to the imam.
What about the rest of the world?
The 10,000, the first 10,000 that are there, the imam is just going to tell them that this is what I want. For the 313, there's a long narration where the imam, he tells the 313 that, do you agree? Do you do bayat on my hand? And imam has shurut for those 313. He has shurut, that if you're going to do bayat on my hand, then these are my shurut. And the imam, he reads all the shurut that he has for the 313.
Is it different than the commanders and the army? Like the shuruts are different?
Yeah, because the commanders, the 313 are commanders. So not only does their taqwa, not only does their iman have to be higher than everyone else's, their iman, their taqwa has to be higher than everyone else's, because the imam of the time, he's not going to make commanders of those 313 commanders for no good reason. If someone's taqwa was at the same low level as my taqwa, then why has he been given commandership? Correct? Those 313, like I said in the beginning of the lecture, their iman is at a complete different level. Their iman is up there. To the point where some of them, they can walk on air. And that is through taqwa. The Quran itself, it has what? The criteria of whether or not someone is better than someone else is what? Taqwa. That's the criteria, that's it. Taqwa is the criteria of whether an individual is better than another individual. That's it.
So is it that time when Imam appears, that time, that day, that what kind of taqwa level we have, or is like these days, or like is it based on our life right now, or it's not gonna grow like overnight, like okay we are like best of the best?
No, that's what the whole thing was for. It's our duty to take our taqwa up. It's not like, oh, when the Imam comes, all of us are going to have, those 313 are going to have that taqwa. No, they're working on themselves.
Prepare yourself.
They're working on themselves daily. That's what our duty is, to work on ourselves daily. It's not like, oh, Imam's going to come and, Falan person's taqwa is going to be at that height. No, that's not how it is. These individuals, they're working on themselves daily, making their taqwa higher. It's not like when the Holy Prophet came, Salman Farsi's taqwa was at the highest level. No, that's not how it was. Salman Farsi worked on himself during the time of the Holy Prophet. He worked on himself during when? Even after the Holy Prophet, he worked on himself and he got to that level. The Holy Prophet just didn't give him that level of taqwa. No, he worked on himself. The companions of Amir al-Mu'mineen, they worked on themselves to get to that taqwa level. It's a different thing where the Imam gives them ilm. Like I said, the Imam of the time, he's going to put his hand on those 313, each and every one of them, and he's going to give them knowledge where they don't make mistakes based on the knowledge. They won't make a mistake based on that knowledge. He's going to give, that's something different. But they're going to be given that, even why? Because of the taqwa. But this is something that each individual needs to work at, to get to that level. To get to that level.
So you said the 10,000 there. Where is there, and what about the rest of us who are not there?
There is Makkah.
And what about the rest of us who are not there at the time, in North America, in Africa, and other parts of the world?
Yeah, what's going to happen, Asabai, is the cry from the sky that's supposed to happen, okay? The shout from the sky is supposed to happen in the month of Ramadan, okay? And like I said, that there are people that are going to believe that, yes, this is the actual truth. And some people, they're going to say that, no, you know what, this isn't, we don't know if it's true or not, okay? Now, the people that believe that this is the actual truth, they're going to immigrate. They're going to immigrate because they truly believe that this is the actual truth, okay? Now, the people that are just, here and there, who say, hey, you know what, it might be, it might not be, I don't know. Then they're there in America, they're there in Europe, they're there in Australia, wherever they are, okay? Now, what you were saying, where it is there is Mecca. The first 10,000 people that are going to do bayat, or they're going to be part of the Imam, is in Mecca, okay? And from there, he's going towards Medina, okay? Shari, yes.
Go ahead, Shari.
अगर मेरा सवाल ये था कि जैसे अब आजकल जो कह रहे हैं कि जिस हिसाब से दुनिया चल रही है उस हिसाब से बच्चों को पाले और यानी कि इस चीज़ की मुझे समझ नहीं आ रही कि क्या यानी कि जिस हिसाब से दुनिया है जिस हिसाब से टेक्नोलॉजी बढ़ रही है और
इसका मतलब ये नहीं शरीफ भाई कि some people, they take this and they say, hey, you know what, because the world is the world that we live in, there's haram and halal. The world that we live in right now, there's haram and halal. And some people have taken this to the extreme where they say, hey, you know what, even though there's haram, halal, even though music is haram in Islam, the place that we live in, we can't get away from it. So because we can't get away from it, it's okay for people to listen to it. Do you see what I mean?
जैसे मेरा एक सवाल है कि जैसे बच्चे हैं मन के पास सुन रहे हैं बस वो तो म्यूजिक है
हाँ ये देखें शरीफ भाई,
मसला क्या उनको कहोगे, बच्चे कहते हैं कि डैडी इसमें तो म्यूजिक है, हम क्या करें?
That's the biggest problem.
ये बहुत बड़ा प्रॉब्लम है ना।
Yeah.
अब इस तरह समझाया जाए कि बेटा आप सुनना भी है और नहीं भी सुन सकते।
नहीं, उनको ये कहना चाहिए शरीफ भाई, देखें उनको ये कहें कि
5 across the eyes.
नहीं, जो म्यूजिक है ना वो तो शरनी हराम है, ठीक ना। अब मसला ये है कि they brought it into matkabat khani. They brought it into matkabat. You still need to let them know that, hey, you know what, the music is haram. It shouldn't be done. You shouldn't listen to it. It's a different thing whether they say, hey, if they say why, then why do they have it? Then you can tell them that there are people that do haram and halal. If people understood some of the narrations that Amir al-Mu'mineen had said about listening to music, elders, they would never listen to music. They would never listen to music. If they looked at what Amir al-Mu'mineen said, and these same elders, they're putting music with Amir al-Mu'mineen's name. With Amir al-Mu'mineen's name. Imam Ali alayhi salam, he never, the sound of flute, the sound of all of these musical instruments. No, the Holy Prophet, he says, one of the reasons that I was sent was to destroy these types of instruments. One of the reasons that I was sent was to destroy these types of instruments.
That's the issue, that kids always have excuse of different instruments too. अब वो दफल कहते हैं जी, दफल बजाते रसूल के ज़माने में दफल बजाते थे, तो that's also considered music.
That's for
No.
That's the
Look,
question.
there is
Kids.
Sufi music.
Look, there is, now this is,
Like war में drum बजाते हैं.
That's one more
That
hour.
is music.
no, that's, look, when they say, when the ulama have said that music is haram, when the ulama have said that music is haram, everyone knows for a fact, not that it's haram, everyone knows for a fact, there are some types of music that is definitely haram. Everyone knows for a fact that there's some type of music that is definitely haram. Okay, for example, rap music. Is there anyone here that believes that it's halal? Is there any marja that said that, yes, you know what, rap music is jaiz to listen to? No. There's some type of music that everyone definitely knows, you know, it's haram to listen to. Now, there is other types of music. For example, yes. Okay, for example, the national anthem. जिसको उर्दू में कौमी तराने जो कहते हैं, ठीक ना? The national anthem. Some of the Maharajas say that there's no problem. When it comes to classical music, for example, classical music, some of the Maharajas say that that's no problem. The music that they say is a problem, that is haram, they say, look, if the music that is being played, if that music can be danced to, or that music can be played in a haram gathering, then that is haram. If the music that you're listening to, if the music that our people are listening to, if it can be played in a haram gathering, for example, like a club, then that music is definitely haram. If the music that people are listening to, if it can be danced to, that music is definitely haram. That's the fiqhi masla. When you see what the Maharajas say, that's the fiqhi masla. Okay, now what Sharibai said, that you know what, now they brought instruments, they brought all of these tunes into manqabat.
बात भी शुरू होती, गाना पहले जर में है, तभी
इस तरह तो किराने के मसले लोग ड्रम उछलते हुए जाते हैं।
ये मसला सूफियों से शुरू हुआ है. The music coming into with the names of the Ahlul Bayt, it started with the Sufis. When they started, for example, like Nusrat Fateh Ali Khan, and even before that, when they started using instruments, and then they were saying the names of the Imams and the Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam too. And then for some reason, we Shias, we took it. If it had stopped then, but it didn't stop then. But I don't know what's preventing the ulama of today to tell these mantabat khans not to do it.
They are saying it, but I mean,
और सबसे ज़्यादा तो मलंगों और सूफियों ने
हाँ,
इमाम
ये-
अली
ये-
की मनक़बत पढ़ी है।
That's what I'm saying. It started from the Sufis. But the ulama, they need to come out and they need to say, yeah, it's not jaiz. Now the thing is that
या अगर सब अगर उलमा ऐसे बात करते हैं कि उनके लिए जायज़ की तो शेयर करो या आपने बात की क्यों?
ये मसला तो फिर
सबसे बड़ा मसला तो ये हुआ ना। और सबसे बड़ा मसला ये है कि हम उलमा से ज़्यादा आयतुल्लाह गूगल पे इस्तेमाल कर रहे हैं।
ठीक है।
यानी कि जिस बच्चे को देखो जो बात करो फौरन आयतुल्लाह गूगल खोल के पढ़े जिसको तो ये बंदा क्या करे उसके सामने क्या किस चीज़ का जवाब दे?
नहीं देखिए आयतुल्लाह गूगल हो या यानी मर्ज विकिपीडिया हो, the information needs to be verified. ठीक ना? It's not that everything on Google or Wikipedia is 100% authentic. I was looking at Wikipedia the other day. If you look at the biography of Abu Bakr, look at just open up Wikipedia right now, look at the biography of Abu Bakr, and you'll see that they say in his biography that he was never an idol worshipper.
Oh my God.
You see that this is the problem with Wikipedia, this is the problem. And Google, when you type in something, it gets most of its information from where? It'll get its information from Wikipedia. And this is the problem. Okay? Now, how do you tell your kids that you know what, everything that you read is not true? It's not true. When they get older, they're going to realize that too. Right now, at the age of 7, 8, 9, however old they are, they're using it. They'll realize when they get older that everything is not true. But when it comes to this music in Madhabat Sharifa, you're absolutely right. Well, this is the hypocrisy within the Shias. If the alim says something, that he knows, the Shias themselves, they know that what these people are doing is haram. If the alim says something, the Shias will rise up against the alim. Why did he say this? For example, this is what happened in al-Khui's time. This is exactly what happened in al-Khui's time. They asked Ayatollah Khui that is it allowed for women to touch the alam when they're impure? Is it allowed for women to cook niyaz when they're impure? And Ayatollah Khui said, yeah, there's no problem. There's no problem. And then what did they do in India? What did they do in Pakistan? They started burning his pictures. They started making dummies out of him. They started burning the dummies. So his representative, they came to Ayatollah Khui and they told him that this is what's happening over there. Ayatollah Khui, they said they're burning your pictures. They're burning, they made dummies of you and they're burning them over there. Ayatollah Khui says, so what? I don't care. What's right is right, what's wrong is wrong. What's right is right, what's wrong is wrong. Let them burn. If they want to burn, let them burn as many pictures as they want. Let them make as many dummies as they want. Why do I care? These are the type of ulama that we need to have, especially from where this type of thing is coming from, in Pakistan, in India, who can say the same thing. To the point where I tell police that if they want to burn me, they can come here and burn me.
It's a matter of respect. Basically, that's why they don't touch it when they are in that situation.
No, that's fine, but when it's a fiqhi masla, Shabibai, when it's a fiqhi masla, when a marja, then that means that this authority has been given to a marja right now to come up with the ruling for this fiqhi masla. This is a fiqhi masla, okay? I don't know what the answer is, but the marja, he's the one who's supposed to tell me what the answer is. So when I go and ask him, he tells me an answer and I don't like it, I start burning his pictures because I don't like that answer?
It's
No.
just like, Bagair Wazu, you are touching the Quran words. Why can't you touch it? That's the
No, it's not the same. That's not the same. This is the thing. It's not the same. It's not the same.
It's the same situation. If you are najis, why you are touching the Quran?
No, because the Quran, you cannot say the Quran is the same as alam. You cannot say that. The Quran has the word.
That comes as a matter of respect, right? They won't touch it because they are najis.
What do you mean?
It's a kind of a respect
But
that you
Quran-
are giving
Quran and
respect to
alam-
the alam.
No, you cannot put the alam at the same level of the Quran.
Okay, what's the situation? The Quran, you are respecting Quran words.
Why are you respecting Quran?
You are respecting Quran words. That's why you are not touching.
Why are you respecting those Quranic words?
Because they are mutabarrik. I mean, it's
Why are they mutabarrik?
it's part of our faith.
No. They're mutabarrik, yes. Why? It's fine. That's part of your faith. That's absolutely true. But why are you respecting the words in the Quran? We all know the answer to this. Come on. They're words of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They're the direct words of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
And these are also Imam Hussain, Imam Ali, Alam Wagara, also from Allah.
Yes, but that wasn't what was asked.
Is there nur?
It's their nur, you're absolutely right. But is their name written everywhere? For example, this right here. If I was to touch this, what's the problem? I understand you saying that if I was to touch this, that's a problem. But if I was to touch down here, what's the problem? Even for the Quran, what are you not allowed to touch if you're in Halat Najasa? So what's the problem? The words, you can touch outside of the book if you want.
I understand that, but even touching the words, if you are najis, it's not right. You are saying it's the word of Allah. But these are also the names of nur of Allah. That's what we believe. That Imam Ali's name is a nur of Allah.
So right, I'm not arguing with you. I'm not arguing with that point. I absolutely agree with you. I absolutely agree with you. But that's not what was asked of Ayatollah Hui. Look, this whole thing is considered to be a parcham. That whole thing is considered to be an alam, or that whole thing is considered to be an alam, correct? Is the name that says Ya Hussein, is that Ya Hussein everywhere, or is that in a certain place? Do you see what I mean? That's what was asked. And he said there's no problem. Even when it comes to the names, what's the fatwa? What's the fatwa when it comes to the names? Do you all know?
When you touch the words?
The names of the 14 Masumin, the 14 Masumin, what is the fatwa? There is a fatwa on this in the Tawzeeb.
If it's touching your skin, that you have to be ba'uzu, otherwise you cannot, like the rain.
When it comes to the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and when it comes to the name of the Holy Prophet, when it comes to the name of the 14 Masumin, you have to be touching the name. That's why if you have anything, Quranic verse, the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you have to be in taharat, you have to be in wuzu.
तो आगे जो कॉमन सेंस ये है ना कि अगर आपको पता है कि आपकी तहारत नहीं है और आप वैसे भी करीब जाते हैं, आप दूसरे इस्लाम करते हैं,
आदमी तो ऊपर ही है,
नहीं औरतें भी हैं, लेकिन ये तो हमारे ऊपर है ना, हमारे अंदर कितनी कॉमन सेंस है।
यही है।
अगर सेंस है ही नहीं तो फिर हम जो मर्जी करें।
लेकिन उनसे ये पूछा गया था कि जायज़ है या नहीं, फिक़ही मसला सीखना। तो जब मर्जा है वो he looks at the whole thing. He doesn't pick and choose what needs to be looked at. He looks at the overall picture and he comes up with an answer. And that's the overall picture. The way that for example, They went to Ayatollah Khoury one time and they asked him, is it okay to put holes into a stick and blow into it? Is it okay, is it jaiz to put holes into a stick and blow into it? And he looks at it, the way it was said to him, he looks at it and he goes, yes, yes, it's okay. The guy goes back to the ground and he says, oh, Ayatollah Khoury says it's okay for us to play flutes. Ayatollah Khoury says, okay, flutes are okay. Look at the way it was worded. That's what we need to look at too. Sometimes it's so open-ended that the marja, he looks at it that way, he says, yeah, you know what, there's no problem. Why? Because the way it's worded. So when you ask a marja question, you have to be specific about what you're asking. Because if you leave it too open-ended, then the answer you get will be like that. You have something else in mind, they have something else in mind. You're thinking, the guy is asking about flutes, Ayatollah Khoury, he's looking or he's over there thinking about, oh, just a hole in sticks. This is why you have to be certain, or you have to know the question that you're asking.
So, I'll tell you, going back to the music stuff.
Yes.
So you're saying that it is not haram in an absolute sense?
No, there's some Maharaja that say that not all music is haram.
Okay,
Like I said, classical music, some Maharaja, not all Maharaja, some Maharaja, they say that classical music is jaiz. Okay? Some Maharaja, they say classical music is jaiz.
So tomorrow if people start putting classical music to makba, then that's jaiz?
That, if they start putting classical music to manqabat,
Yeah.
is that jaiz? If it's not happened, and it doesn't come under the definition that the Maharaja have given right now about what type of music is haram, then you'd have to ask the Marja about that.
But don't they have like classical music has musical instruments?
Yeah.
What is classical music? Because one of the
Okay, this I've been asked. Playing the instrument is different, listening is different. Okay? Playing is different, listening is different. Okay? It could be possible that playing is haram, listening is not haram. Okay? It could be possible that playing is haram, listening is also haram.
Give us an example.
But if you're playing,
You're doing it the same thing, both of it.
no,
What?
other people like in the musical
playing, you're also
evening or
listening.
whatever, like somebody.
If you are playing, you are listening,
you're
it's
listening,
both
you're listening.
together. How
No, I could be listening, doesn't mean I need to play.
Right, I mean like.
Like for example, today, the people that listen to music, do they play music? No, it's not, both of those are not necessary, they can be exclusive. Yes, when do both of them come together? When you're a musician.
Yeah.
When you're a musician, both of them come together, meaning that you're listening while playing.
Right.
Okay? But if you're just listening like a lot of the people do, they're not playing, they're just listening.
No, but fundamentally, what's the difference between classical music and any other music? I mean,
One, if you look at what they say, look, they say that the music that takes you away from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and this is one of the reasons that they say that, you know what, the music in manqabat is okay.
Yes.
Okay, this is one of the reasons that they say the people who say music in manqabat is okay, they say this. When you look at the definitions that they've given, okay, the music that takes you away from remembering Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or music that can be played in club settings, dance settings, okay, that music is absolutely haram. Okay? Now, classical music, the ulama, they've said that classical music does not fall under.
yeah, but Tayyab, the thing is, if you say something is haram, and driving a car is haram, if you kill someone with it,
Huh?
right?
Driving a car is haram?
If you kill somebody with it.
It's not haram.
Still is not.
No, if you kill somebody with driving, like,
If you use it for a different purpose other
Yeah.
than driving, so he's using it as a weapon. So that, I think that's the point.
It's illegal.
how can that be legal?
Illegal.
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 Yes,
Yeah, that's
but
not haram.
that's
Well, I mean, though, if you use something to commit a crime, I think it becomes haram or not permissible.
नहीं ये तो फिर ये है कि तो मैं ये स्कूटी चलाने जा रहा हूँ फिर है वरना अगर मैं तो वैसे चला रहा हूँ फिर तो नहीं है
हाँ वो तो नहीं है वो तो
using knife is not
That's a
allowed.
different example.
मैं
That's a
मूली काटूँ या
different
बंदा काटूँ
example.
बात तो नहीं है
Music,
Zara put it.
look what you-
Look,
I think, look, if you think about,
right now, I don't know if this is still going online.
Yes.
It's still going online? Okay.
we can stop
Right, we can stop it now, okay. Right now.